I'm trying to find the right words here. So down the stretch, I did talk about the Jets. And one thing I did say during the season a few times was whether, the question around the Jets was playoffs and how they do struggle come playoff time. And there were those within the Winnipeg Jets fandom that believed that this year's different. And I personally wanted to believe that, and yet what we're seeing is the 2011 Stanley Cup final played out in the first round between these two teams. I cannot shake how similar this is. I talked after game 4. I said I would consider Comrie for game 6. I would keep Hellebuck for the home games, and if somebody's going to say, well, Comrie's a bad backup, I think the numbers we're getting from Hellebuck are kind of bad backup numbers. Now, I also want to say this before we get into the notes, and I'll get into the notes. I don't put this one on Hellebuck. I really, really don't. I understand that his numbers have been bad, and he has been bad in previous games in St. Louis. Tonight, I feel like this was a team effort or a team non-effort. The defense in front of him was abysmal, and I don't know if this is an issue with Winnipeg mentally against the St. Louis Blues or what it is, but how much this reminded me of the series between Vancouver and Boston, and Game 6 was the same thing, right? So, yeah, we'll see how Game 7 goes. But if you look back to 2011, the home team wins the first 6 games, and then the road team wins the 7th game. Elimination games bring out the best in some teams. And I do get the feeling it will bring out the best in St. Louis. Keep in mind, St. Louis has been playing elimination hockey since January. This is a team that it took a while for them to get going under Jim Montgomery. And once they got things going, they're playoff bound. And here they are. But I remember when Minnesota ended up finishing ahead of St. Louis, my first thought was, I don't know if St. Louis is a matchup Winnipeg would want. I think if Winnipeg had a vote, I think they would have voted on Minnesota. Given Minnesota's track record, I think the style Minnesota plays, I think Winnipeg would have had an easier time with. And St. Louis is just a supremely confident club. So, all of that said, now we'll get into the notes. Hellebuck versus Bennington. We know that storyline, right? Ehlers returns to the lineup. I thought he looked okay, which is about as good as anybody played for Winnipeg tonight. Early press by the Jets. Ehlers is denied on a rebound, so he's on the scoreboard early there, or at least on my board early. Good forechecking by the Blues. The lone shot on net belongs to Winnipeg 4 minutes in. So one thing that was noteworthy was Winnipeg's getting zone time. They're not getting to the net. They're just not. Sandberg fires one high on a rush, and then at 6:03, it's a slot shot past a screen. Broberg scores from Thomas and Snuggerud. The Jets call a timeout. I don't like calling a timeout to decide whether or not you're going to challenge. I don't. And I don't like calling a timeout 6 minutes into a game when it's 1-0 because you may need that timeout later on in the game. I don't like it. I don't like calling a timeout to decide if you're going to challenge. If it's that close, just let them drop the puck. If you're not sure, just let them drop the puck. But there wasn't any goalie interference challenge, so it was a completely pointless timeout by the Winnipeg Jets. Then there's a delay of game call soon after, so the Blues go to the power play. So there you go. Early clear and then another. Snuggerud has a shot that's held. The Blues cycle. There's a fail, clear, and then they clear it out. Power play's killed off just the one shot. The one notable from tonight, too, St. Louis's power play really did not get it done. They had plenty of chances. The fans call one, the referee does not. Bolduc has a slot shot that's held. There's some pushing. Jets get a power play. There's an early cycle. Puck's cleared out. Connor has a one-timer that's saved. Puck's cleared out. Power play's killed off. One shot on net for the Jets. Blues rush after it's done. The fans call one. The referee does not again. Shots are just 2 apiece with 7 minutes left. So not a lot of chances getting to the net. But then the Blues press with 6 minutes left, which included some shots on net. Perfetti has a net drive that's blocked. 3:35 left. The Blues go back to the power play. Snuggerud can't bury one amidst a dog pile. Hellebuck ends up holding on. The Blues cycle. Puck's cleared out. It's killed off. The Jets clear after it's done. There's a press by the Jets in the final minute. So it's 1-0 St. Louis after one. Jets have 2 shots. 2. They have a chance to close out the St. Louis Blues tonight and they manage dos shots through 20 minutes. Dos. Duh. Trying to think of different ways of saying two in different languages, but we'll move on. Second period. Dry. There we go. Because dry. No, eins, dry, zwei. All right. Anyways. So early in the second, the Jets score, but it's offside. So there you go. That's gone. And then there was a penalty to the Blues on the play. And yes, a penalty can still be called even if it was going to be, even if it's an offside and everything. John Garrett said something during the production, but then did admit after, right, I should have known that. And he did apologize for saying anything at that time. So the Jets cycle, Velarde's denied and close. Connor has a shot that's blocked and cleared. Power plays killed off. One shot on net for the Winnipeg Jets there. Zone time for the Jets. They're not getting to the net. Barron hits the side of the net on a drive at the net. Barron was the one that had the goal that was ruled offside. Neighbors is denied from the slot on a turnover. And 25 minutes into the game, the Jets have 3 shots on net. 3. So everybody's going to dump on Hellebuyck. And I get it. But the Jets had 3 shots in the first 25 minutes of the game. There were some passengers on that jet. So they're lucky it's only 1-0. The Jets then get a power play and they tie it. They had no business tying this game. At 5:43, Perfetti jams one in from the side of the net. Connor and Morrissey with the assists. So it's a 1-1 tie. Blues press to respond. Shots are 4 apiece at 6.5 minutes. The Jets press. They're kept to the outside. Morrissey has a chance that's kicked aside. Buchnevich has a rush chance that's held. The Blues press 8 minutes in. Things get pushed on a hold by Bennington at the other end. Ehlers is denied back-to-back on a rush, and then at 11:33, Nathan Walker chips one in from the doorstep. Bad defense. Broberg and Falk with the assist, and then at 12:28, this is the bad goal. This is the one Hellebuyck needs to have, and I will say this, I do think this is the goal that really caused the Jets game to spiral. So it's Shen from Neighbors and Suter. It's a wrister on the rush. Hellebuyck's got to have that. It was short side. It was from a distance. You can't have that one go in. So what I said earlier, I still stand by that. I don't think Hellebuyck's the reason this thing goes south. I don't think the Jets did themselves any favors throughout this one. So Kyrou nearly adds another on a wraparound. And then at 13:38, Fowler. It's a point shot past a screen. Hellebuyck didn't see it. The assist to Parayko and Toropchenko. And I put right here, this game is over. The Blues 4 goals on 19 shots, which makes it look really bad on Hellebuyck's resume. I get it. But here we have a point shot past a screen. He didn't see that. Walker chipping one in from the doorstep. Poor defensive coverage there. And in the first period, it's a slot shot past a screen by Broberg. So 2 of the shots he didn't even see. So, because I've seen the memes. I've seen people posting about him choking, yada, yada, yada. But it was really more of a team choke than one player. So we get a power play for the Blues. There's an early clear. Snuggerud has a shot that's saved. More cycling. Puck's cleared out. Falk has a shot that's blocked and cleared. Power play's killed off. 1 shot. And then shortly thereafter, the defense of the Jets just decides to not play. At 16:56, Toropchenko buries one from Faksa. Just the defensive coverage was not there. And that makes it 5-1. That is 4 goals for the Blues in 5.5 minutes? Less than 5.5 minutes of game time? In an elimination game. So there's the Jets closing out skills. And this is why I talk about that Bruins-Canucks series, because it is hard for me to get it out of my brain while I'm watching it happen all over again. I feel like I'm 14 years back in time, just different teams. And I put right here, Jets look awful. This, because I knew people are going to dump on Hellebuyck, and all the comments under this video are going to be Hellebuyck. The team looked awful. This is a team that ran roughshod over the league. They won 15 of their first 16 regular season games, and they cruised to the President's Trophy. The Winnipeg Jets didn't have to play an important hockey game that they had to win for months. The Blues have been playing games they've had to win for months. This is a different setup altogether. So that was 5 goals for the Blues on 21 shots. With 1:52 left, the Blues go back to the power play. Things get pushy on a hold by Hellebuyck. Shots were 23-11 for St. Louis after 2 periods of play. So they outshot them almost 2-1. They're ahead 5-1 on the score sheet. And I put, game score is accurate. Winnipeg just looked bad all the way through. It was just awful. So third period, Comrie's in the net, and I put right here, should have started. I talked about this after game 4. Start Comrie in game 6. Give Hellebuck the night off. If you win game 6, great. If you don't, Hellebuck's rested for game 7. He didn't get shelled in St. Louis. Because now the concern you have to have if you're Winnipeg is, does he get shelled at home now in game 7? Does getting pulled 3 times in a row in St. Louis get into his head a little bit? Because his home save percentage is only .879. It's not like he's played great at home. He just hasn't been allowing a goal on every 4 shots. His save percentage in St. Louis in this series, .758. He had help getting there. He had help from that Jets defense that all year we've heard about how great it is. And it was great during the regular season, but the playoffs are a completely different beast, aren't they? So the Jets were 12 plus minutes between shots. So while the Blues are getting all these goals, the Jets aren't even getting shots on the net. There's nothing from them to tell you that this is important, that they wanted to close it out and avoid a game 7, make sure they're more rested than whoever's going to win Dallas and Colorado. I get the feeling it's going to be the Avs. Anyways, Nemestikov gets shaken up. He skates off. Things then get punchy on a hole by Binnington. The Blues come out of that with a power play. They cycle. Jets clear. The power play was killed off. The Jets clear after that. I didn't feel like taking a copious amount of notes on what happened on that power play mattered, because that power play, it really didn't matter. Blues press at 6 minutes, and the Blues played in the third knowing they were up by a lot, so it didn't really matter. Neighbors has a chance that's held. Lots of posing, pushing, just that kind of BS going on in the third. And when the Jets are out there and they're they're getting ready to drop the gloves, where was that fight in the first period? Where was it? Where was that determination in the first period? Because I didn't see it at any point during this game. So the Jets get a power play. Montgomery looked like he was going to come over the boards. He looked like he was ready to get on the ice. I'm thinking, dude, you're up by 4. Relax. You're up by 4. You're offing the Jets tonight. It's done. This game's finished. Relax. Just I would have handed him a Snickers personally. Anyways, Morrissey has a shot that catches Binnington near the collarbone. That looked like it hurt. Shorthanded Sundqvist chances fired wide. The Jets struggle to set up, but they do score late in the power play at 8:54. It's Niederreiter from Appleton and Nemesnikov. So that makes it 5-2. He's bearing a rebound and close. And immediately Sportsnet announcers are trying to get you to feel like, hey, now they're within 3. And Yvonne and I both had the same reaction when we heard now they're within 3. I said, yeah, that's not great. There's only 11 minutes left. The Blues aren't allowing 3 more goals on home ice with 11 minutes left in an elimination game. Not happening. Jets press with 9 minutes left. We get more punching. The Blues come out of that with a power play. Fowler to Snuggerud near miss. We get 52 seconds of 4-on-4. There was a shorthanded Sundqvist chance. He fires wide. Everything gets killed off there. Goalie pull happens with 4:27 left. I was expecting an empty netter. The Blues ice the puck with 4:04 left. Then the Jets get a power play to make it 6-on-4. Or more accurately, it means the Blues can clear the puck without worrying about icing. Morrissey has a blast that's held. Velarde can't bury in close. Power play's killed off. And in the final minute, this is one of those things that irritates me. And I know it might not irritate anybody else watching this. But why was the goalie still pulled when there's whistles in the final minute? You're down by 3. I don't think allowing a 6th goal is going to inspire your team. I don't think scoring a 3rd goal to make it 5-3 instead of 5-2 is really going to turn the game around and make you feel better about Game 7. I feel like putting the goalie back in the net in the final minute would have made more sense. But it's a 5-2 final. This is going to Game 7. Shots on net, 8-2 St. Louis in the first, 15-9 St. Louis in the second, and then 12-4 for Winnipeg in the third, meaning the shots look close. 27-23 for the Blues. The Jets were 2 for 6 on the power play. They got nothing 5-on-5. Nothing. Not a lot of shots 5-on-5, and of those shots, I don't know how many of them were high danger, but felt like Binnington had a relatively easy night of it. The Blues go 0 for 7. So that 5-2 score could have been a lot worse if the Blues power play got a goal or 2 out of the 7 chances they had. The hits 40-36 for the Jets, so at least they were hitting, I guess. Hellebuck saves 18 out of 23. He will get savaged in the comments. I think there were a lot of passengers for the Jets tonight. A lot. I think there's a lot of guys who need to look in the mirror. And I think if you're Kevin Cheveldayoff, having watched this tonight, you have to be terrified about Game 7. Whether you'll admit it publicly or not, you have to be terrified that Game 7 is going to be a meltdown. Comrie saves 4 shots in relief. And I want to say, too, that for all of the people that slag Comrie as a backup, his numbers have been very good in Winnipeg this year. I think if they'd played Comrie at the start of the game, would the score have been worse? Would the game have turned out differently? No. But Hellebuck wouldn't have got 5 goals on 23 shots against him. So there's that. And Binnington, 21 saves on 23 shots. I thought he had a relatively easy game. So the Blues survive elimination. This is going to 7. And I'm just being honest. I think the Blues have him. I think the Blues win Game 7. So we'll see if Winnipeg can bounce back in Game 7. But I think the Blues have this. Much like I expect Colorado to probably get that win on the road tomorrow. I think both Game 7s are probably going to be won by the road team. And then we'll get Colorado-St. Louis in the next round, which we've seen before, but it's usually very entertaining. At any rate, I do hope I'm wrong. I would love to see the Jets come out and play a fantastic Game 7, but it's just home teams won the first 6 games. That 7th game, that can be an issue. 7th game is a coin toss. You don't want to be in a situation where it's win or go home for both teams, and you've got the hungry team and then the one that hasn't really needed to play that hungry, desperate style of hockey for some time. So I'm hoping I'm wrong. We'll see. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, hit like and subscribe in the event you may not have done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support as always. I will talk to you again soon.